That's terrifying. Woo! Alright, Kyle, you can do this. Whew. You got a little bit sketchy. Hello YouTube, or at least all 16 of you that subscribe to me. Probably about 4 of you watch these videos. But anyway, thought I'd talk while we're on the highway here. Actually, we might be on highway the whole time, but thought I'd talk about how I got into motorcycles. I'm still very new to it. It's something that never really interested me, and I don't exactly know why. I think some of it had to do with, you know, thinking it would cost too much. I never even looked into buying one, so I had no clue how much they were, and kind of the stigma of how dangerous it can be. But I was sitting around, it's been a couple years ago now, sitting around with some friends, and one of them is the Raven up ahead of me. He and our mutual friend were kind of talking about, you know, different styles of motorcycles and stuff. I didn't know that something like this KLR even existed. I didn't even know what the laws were as far as road legal / motocross bikes, off-road bikes, but I didn't even know something like a dual sport existed. The dual sport appealed to me because of the neutral riding position, number one. And number two, I love the idea of being able to do basically any roadway, whether it was paved, gravel, some dirt roads, and you can go off-road if you want to. And I kind of realized that every Japanese bike company makes one, or a couple. So at that point I really started to, you know, I was looking at online forums, YouTube videos, every piece of info I could get my hands on, and I discovered the forum called ADV Rider, or Adventure Rider, became a member of that. Looking through the forum, it seemed like a lot of those guys on there were very down to earth, and they had kind of the riding style, lifestyle that I was looking for, where you use your motorcycle not just for transportation, but to actually go places and see things. So I think one of my first posts, I think I was asking, I can't remember now, I was asking about bikes, I think, and someone commented on there and mentioned the MSF course, the Motorcycle Safety Foundation course, and how I need to take that. So I look into that, and I realize, you know, I'd never heard of such a thing, so I figured I'd have to drive a long ways to even make it to one of the classes. But I find out that they hold a class half hour from me. So long story short on that, I pay, I think it was $200 for, is it a 2-day course, 3-day course? And I cruise up there and take the class. Well, before that, I should say, a co-worker of mine loaned me a 70, oh gosh, I can't remember now, 73 perhaps, Yamaha IT-175, which is a 2-stroke dirt bike. And I kept it out at my parents' house for a few months and rode it around. First time I'd been on a motorcycle. Of course, I'd been on like four-wheelers. I'd ridden a moped a couple times. So I ride this two-stroke around, and it was fun. And I start to understand, you know, shifting and friction zone, all that stuff they talk to you about in the MSF course. I work on some slow speed control, that kind of thing. So then I take the course and did very well. I was by far the biggest guy there. They kept telling the rest of the class that they needed to go faster. And they were making a point that the biggest guy here is going the fastest. But I highly recommend it. They do talk to you about a lot of stuff that you wouldn't think of normally if you just went and got your license at the courthouse. Also, if you take the MSF course for Iowa anyway, I don't know about other states, if you take the MSF course and pass, there's a writing portion and a written portion. But if you pass both and you get your certificate, you don't have to take the writing course for the Department of Transportation when you go get your license. You just take the written course, which is rather simple. So anyway, took that, got licensed, started looking for bikes. Then, you know, I looked at Suzuki, Honda, Kawasaki, and for some reason the KLR really stuck out to me. I'll admit it was kind of a looks thing at that point. Like, I thought it looked great. It didn't look like a dirt bike like the DR 650, the 250 dual sports. I liked that it had, you know, came with a windshield that was relatively tall. This is a little bit taller. And the fairing. And one of the big selling points for me was the big gas tank. Oh, Brighton, Iowa. Get me through here real quick. So I started looking into the KLR online, ADV Rider, other forums. There's a lot of KLR specific forums, and the general consensus is they are the tits. They run forever if you take care of them. They'll go pretty much anywhere you want to go as long as you have that rider skill to go along with it. My friend the Raven up there, when he found a dealership that had this Triumph Bonneville, and the same dealership converted it into a scrambler for him. They had this 2009 red KLR 650 sitting in the showroom, and he sent me some pictures of it knowing that's what I was looking for. So we ended up going down there, I think a week later or so, maybe it was a little bit more than that, a month later, I don't know, when they were done with his bike. And I bought the sucker, rode it first. The guy was very nice about letting me ride it. He said, you know, take your time, go wherever you want. It was super cold that day, probably like 30. And, you know, I loved it. I couldn't leave it there. We is going on to gravel. This is where I like to be. And that's one reason I am super glad of the style of bike I chose. I'm not going to tell you that this KLR is better than a DR 650. Put a little distance between us here in case we gotta do some of that pilot shit. Well, that was better than the last dirt road we went on. So yeah, that's my story, I guess. You know, you hop in your car or your truck and you travel somewhere and you put on the radio and you can just kind of zone out. But on a bike, you're part of the system way more than you are with a car, especially a automatic transmission car, which is all I've ever had. But I mean, this, you are like, every appendage is doing something, even your head, you know, your hips are moving, Your head needs to move. Yeah, it's kind of a sappy way of talking about it, but it's legit. Both hands do things, both feet do things, knees, hips, head, shoulders. Riding on anything other than a highway can be kind of a workout, really. It's a big goose. Is that a goose? No, it's turkey. Never mind. Hey, turkey. Well, guys and gals, if you enjoyed the video, give it a like, subscribe if you wish. I'll probably do more of these. I don't know how often. Check out the other videos on my channel. I've got a lot of firearm content if you're into that sort of thing. Comment if you have any questions about anything that I've talked about, or questions about the bikes, and we'll see you next time. Stay sharp and ride safe, everybody.